Hello everyone. So in the second chapter we have covered 3 lectures and this may be the last theoretical lecture for this chapter. We are going to see what are the uses of consistency limits and the experimental procedure for determination of liquid limit and plastic limit. Okay, this is the part that has to be covered. So the very first part, that is the use of consistency limits. So in the first lecture, as I have said, that there are some index properties and some engineering properties for a soil. Okay, so these consistency limits are nothing but the index properties. So these index properties are indicative of engineering properties of a soil. Okay, mostly the parameter that we have derived based on these consistency limits are nothing but the liquidity index, consistency index, toughness index, activity of a soil, sensitivity of a soil. So like these parameters we have derived and we have tried to establish relation of these parameters with the engineering properties of a soil. So indirectly these consistency limits are indicative of engineering properties. So that's the basic use of it. Another thing is that consistency index are the index properties. Okay. So suppose whenever we are going to refer any book, first of all we will see what is the index of that book. Okay, so that index gives us idea about what is the content inside that book. So just like that, this consistency limits indicative of what type of soil it is or what type of a clay minerals are present in that soil. So in short, if we want to say what are the uses of consistency limits, then we can say the consistency limits are nothing but the index properties, and these index properties are used to identify the soil and classify the soil. Another thing is that the index properties are indicative of engineering properties. So if you want to see this in a broad sense, we have already covered this content, but this will be the summary of that. Okay, so if we consider liquid limit and plastic limit of soil, or if we consider the difference between these two, that is nothing but the plasticity index, liquid limit minus plastic limit, that is nothing but the plasticity index. Okay, so this plasticity index will depend on what type of the clay mineral that are present in the soil. Okay, so these are the plasticity index is indicative of type of a clay fraction that is present in a particular soil. So that's the first use for the consistency limits of a soil. Another thing is that this plasticity index of a soil will depend on how finer the clay particle is there. Okay, so suppose we have seen in a last lecture that if we consider the kaolinite mineral, it will be having surface area of 15 meters square per gram. If we consider monto-morillonite mineral, then it is having surface area of 800 meters square per gram. Then in case of a illite, it is 80 meters square per gram. Okay, so more surface area indicates that the particle is fine. Okay, so out of these 3 minerals, the monto-morillonite mineral will be finer as compared to this other 2. Okay, so as it is fine, it is having more surface area, so more water is going to be absorbed. As more water is going to be absorbed, there will be the more amount of water will be required for the liquid limit. So the liquid limit of that soil will be more, and the plastic limit of that soil will be also more. But if we consider these 2 limits, then the liquid limit increase will be higher. Okay, so the difference between these 2 will be more. So that's why the plasticity index will be more in case of the soil which is having monto-morillonite present in that. Okay, another thing is that if this clay fraction, if it is smaller though, it will give higher plasticity index. So that's why the soil will be having more activity. Okay, so water holding capacity of that soil will be more. Okay, so in short, I want to say that the plasticity index is indicative of how the particle size is finer in that soil. Okay, so that's part of it. Suppose if you are going to add silt in such type of a soil. If we are going to add silt in such a type of a soil, what will happen? This the liquid limit of a soil will decrease and plastic limit will be also decrease. But the decrease in liquid limit will be at higher side. Okay. So because of the addition of the silt particle, the plasticity index of that soil will decrease. So first use is indicative of what type of the clay minerals are present. Second use is how the soil particles are finer, that is indicated by the plasticity index, that depends on consistency limits. And third part is that if we try to establish the relation between the plasticity index and the liquid limit, plasticity index and liquid limit. Okay. Actually there is a certain plot between, certain graph between the plasticity index and liquid limit, and that is used to classify the fine grained soils. Okay, that is a key parameter that is used for the classification of fine grained soils. So ultimately the use of the consistency index, or use of this consistency limits are to classify the soil. So far we have seen the three uses of this consistency limit. First is that the plasticity index is indicative of clay minerals and the clay fraction that is present in a soil. The plasticity index depends on how much soil is finer. Okay, so fineness of a soil is indicated by the plasticity index. Third is this consistency limits can be used to classify the soil depending on their plasticity index and their liquid limit. For certain soil with the addition of water, the soil can be in a liquid state, but as we reduce its water content, that soil won't come into plastic state because of the absence of the clay mineral that are not present in that soil. Okay, so from the liquid state it will directly go into the semi-solid state. Okay, so the plastic state will be absent. Such a soil will be probably a sandy soil. Okay, for such a sandy soil the liquid limit will generally 20%. Okay, so the absence of plastic state in a soil will indicate that the soil is sandy soil. For certain soils, when we add water in that soil will be in a liquid state. Okay, but as we reduce its water content, from the liquid state it will go to the semi-solid state because of the absence of the clay minerals that offers plasticity to the soil. Okay, so from the liquid state it is directly going into the semi-solid state. So this indicates that the soil is non-plastic. Okay, so such a soil are sandy soils. For such a soils, the liquid limit of a soil will be 20%. Case is that in case of a organic soil, because of the presence of the organic soil, the plastic limit of that soil will increase, but that liquid limit is going to remain same. So the difference between the liquid limit and plastic limit, that is nothing but the plasticity index, will reduce. So the lower value of the plasticity index are indicative of organic content that are present in that soil. Another thing is that the shrinkage index. Okay, the shrinkage index is also indicative of the clay fraction that is present in a soil. Suppose for the two soils, if a certain soil is having more liquid limit, okay, it indicates that the soil is more compressible as compared to another one. So the higher the liquid limit, higher will be the compressibility of a soil. Another thing is about the toughness index. As we have studied, toughness index is indicative of shear strength of a soil at a plastic limit. Higher values of toughness index are indicative of colloidal clay particle with the presence of the montmorillonite mineral in that. Okay, so if the montmorillonite mineral is present in a soil, then it will give the higher toughness value. Another thing is that suppose we are considering the two soils, okay, and for the both the soils the plasticity index is same, okay, but for a certain soil it is having more liquid limit. Okay, so the soil which is having more liquid limit will be having lesser dry strength and toughness as compared to the another soil, and the compressibility and permeability of that soil will be higher. Secondly, if we are considering the two soils which are having same liquid limit, okay, but the plasticity index of a second soil is more. So higher value of a plasticity index and same value of the liquid limit indicate that dry strength and toughness of a soil whose having higher plasticity index will be more as compared to another soil. For the both the soil, the compressibility will be relatively same. There will be no that much difference because the liquid limit are same. Okay, so liquid limits are indicative of compressibility characteristic. So that's why for the both the soil, the compressibility will be same, but the permeability of a soil will reduce. Okay. In short, consistency index are the index properties of soil that helps us to classify the soil, and these limits are or parameters that are derived from these limits are indicative of engineering properties of soil. That engineering properties are nothing but the compressive strength, shear strength and compressibility of soil. The next part is nothing but the determination of this plastic limit and shrinkage limit. We will see first the experimental procedure for determination of this plastic limit. This is actually small experimental procedure. For this, what we have to do is we have to take 30 gram of soil which is passing through 425 micron sieve. For generally all of the experiments that are related with the consistency limits, we generally take the soil which is passing through 425 micron sieve. Okay, so once we take this 30 gram of soil, we will add certain distilled water in it to it. Okay, and we will make a uniform paste out of it. Then from this soil, we will take 10 gram of soil, we will make a ball from it, and that will be placed on a glass plate. Then we will give horizontal strokes at the rate of 80 to 90 strokes per minute. Okay, like that we will give horizontal strokes to that ball. So because of this, that ball will be converted into small thread. Okay, so when we are going to give strokes, what happens? The water content of that soil will reduce because of the heat from our hand and because of that strokes. Okay, so after this continuous stroke, when the water content is reduced lesser than the plastic limit, then when the water content is just below the plastic limit, that thread will crumble. Okay, so then we will stop. Okay, and that thread will be kept for the water content determination. Okay, like this we have to repeat this procedure for 3 times because we can make 3 balls from 30 gram of soil. Okay, then after that the average of this 3 water content can be reported as a plastic limit of a soil. So that's all about the plastic limit. Another key point that can be asked in an objective examination is that at the plastic limit, the shear strength of the soil is almost 100 times more as compared to the strength which is at the liquid limit. Okay, so generally for the liquid limit, the strength is shear strength is generally 2.7 kPa. Okay, so 100 times more strength we will get if the soil is at the plastic limit. So that's about this experimental procedure for determination of this plastic limit. This is the last part of our lecture, that is nothing but the determination of shrinkage limit of a soil. Before going deep into the experimental procedure, I will give you some theoretical background for this determination of a shrinkage limit. So let us consider the graph that we plot for this that various consistency limits. Okay, now consider a soil which is having water content greater than the liquid limit. Okay, so the initial water content of a soil sample is greater than the liquid limit. So let us consider that point be this 1. Okay, let us consider this point as a 1 and the water content at this point is W1. Okay, now let us plot a block diagram for this situation or for this condition. Then how it will be? Let us consider that volume be V1. So when the soil water content was at this point, that is nothing but a point 1, the block diagram will be like this. That volume is V1, mass is M1 and there will be the certain mass of solids, that will be Ms. Now we are reducing the water content in the soil sample. Okay, so as we reduce the water content from the soil sample, what will happen? There will be simultaneously reduction in volume of a soil sample. Okay, so up to the shrinkage limit, there will be the reduction. Let us consider this point as a 2. This reduction in volume of this soil sample is only because of the reduction of a water in that soil. The mass of solids in any case is not going to change, okay, that will remain constant. Mass of solids or that volume occupied by the mass of solids is going to remain constant, that is not going to change. So the reduction in the soil sample is only because of the reduction in a water content of that soil. Now we will plot a block diagram for a soil when the soil is at a shrinkage limit. Okay, for that same soil we have reduced the water content up to the shrinkage limit. Then how it block diagram will be? So this is the block diagram for the soil sample when the water content is reduced up to the shrinkage limit. Okay, so if you see the difference between these two diagrams, both the diagrams are same only, but there is a reduction in the volume of this soil sample because of the reduction in a water content. Okay, so how much amount of water is reduced? That is also most important part. As we know, this reduced volume of the soil sample is only because of the reduction in the water content, and if you want to see how much amount of water is reduced from the soil sample so that it reached to the shrinkage limit, then this much amount of water was reduced from this initial water content so that it has reached to the shrinkage limit. So this is reduced water content. Now if we want to see the how much amount of water content is reduced in terms of the block diagram, then the initial volume of this both the sample was same, okay, but some amount of water is reduced, so that's why it has reached to its shrinkage limit. Okay, so if I want to show this reduced water content in this diagram, then it can be shown like this. Okay, okay, so this is reduced water content. If we want to find out the reduced volume of the water content, then by correlating these two diagrams we can easily find out it. The first diagram represent when the water content is greater than the liquid limit. Second diagram represent when the water content is at the shrinkage limit. Okay, so now if we want to find out the reduced volume of the water content, we can simply find out like this portion is nothing but the V1 minus V2. Let us consider about initial water content of a soil sample. Okay, so when the soil was at this point, okay, what will be the water content? That can be easily given as W1 is equal to M1 minus MS divided by MS. Okay, that is nothing but the initial water content. Now what happened? We again reduce the water content from the soil sample. Okay, so when the water content is reduced from the shrinkage limit to 0, there is no reduction in the volume of a soil sample. Okay, so the volume of the soil sample is going to remain same, only the water content will be reduced to 0 and the volume that was occupied by water, that will again occupied by the air. Okay, so as simple as it is. Now if we want to plot the block diagram for this third point, okay, then when the water content is reduced to 0, all the water content is removed and that space is being occupied by water, then how it will be? Okay, there is no reduction in the volume of soil sample, so volume is going to remain same as it was at the shrinkage limit. So it will be like this. Okay, we got the limitation of space. So this is again V2 as it was in a previous case. Now if we consider about the mass of this block diagram, it will be only mass of solids, because we do not consider mass of air. Mass of air is negligible, so it will be ms. M2 will be ms. Okay, so that is the third point, or that is the third case. So we know what is the initial water content. We know how much amount of water is reduced. Okay, so if we want to find out the shrinkage limit, then what we have to do is we have to deduct this reduced water content from the initial water content. So when we deduct this, then what we will get, this part will cancel itself and we will get this much amount of water content. That will be nothing but the shrinkage limit of soil. Okay, so initial water content is known to us. The volume of reduced water content is here. Okay, so what we will do now, from the initial water content we will deduct the reduced volume of or reduced mass of water content. So for that, let us consider this part over this first diagram and we will deduct it. So reduced water content is equal to, the volume is V1 minus V2. Okay. When that is multiplied by density of water, that will give us mass of water divided by mass of solids. Okay, so mass of solids is going to remain same, it is not going to change. That's the part. So shrinkage limit is equal to W1 minus reduced water content. Let's make formulation of this. This is Ws. Okay, so this is initial water content minus reduced water content, that is nothing but the V1 minus V2 multiplied by rho W divided by Ms. S is equal to M1 minus Ms minus V1 minus V2 multiplied by rho W, denominator is same, so that's why it is divided by Ms. Okay, so that's the case, or so that is the formula for shrinkage limit of a soil. This was the theoretical background for determination of the shrinkage limit of a soil. Now we will see what is the exact procedure for the determination of this shrinkage limit. So as to conduct the experimental procedure for determination of the shrinkage limit, we will require a 50 gram of a soil which is passing through 425 micron sieve. Then after that we will require a shrinkage dish which has diameter of 30 to 40 mm and depth of 15 mm. We will require a cup, we will require a dish, but the dimension of a dish will be greater as compared to that cup. Then we will require a glass with the prongs. Okay, so these are the requirements that are needed for the so as to conduct the experiment. So now our first step will be for the determination of M1. Okay, that is nothing but the initial mass of the soil sample when the water content in the soil is greater than the liquid limit. So for that, what we will do, we will determine the mass of this shrinkage dish. Okay. For determination of M1, we will add distilled water in the 50 gram of a soil, so that the water content in that soil sample will be greater than the liquid limit. That soil sample or that soil paste will be filled in the shrinkage dish. It will be filled in the 3 layers. Each layer will be tapped so that all the air from the soil is escape out. Okay. So difference between the mass of shrinkage dish and shrinkage dish filled with this soil will give us M1, that is nothing but the mass of a soil sample when the water content in that soil sample was greater than the liquid limit. As we know the M1, then the second procedure will be for the determination of this V1, that is nothing but the initial volume of soil sample. That initial volume will be equal to that volume of the shrinkage dish. So our step will be determination of the volume of this shrinkage dish. For determination of this volume of a shrinkage dish, we will fill the shrinkage dish with the mercury, and the difference between the mass of shrinkage dish and the shrinkage dish filled with the mercury will give us the mass that is occupied within this shrinkage dish. If we divide this mass of mercury with the density of mercury, or we can say that the specific gravity of mercury, that will give us V1, that is nothing but the initial volume of this soil sample when the water content was greater than the liquid limit. So as to determine the mass of solids, what we will do, we will take this shrinkage dish that was filled with the saturated soil sample with water content greater than the liquid limit, and we will keep it in an open air. Because of this, the slowly the water content will reduce and it will turn light in a color. Okay. Then after that, it will be kept in an oven for 24 hours of a duration, and the temperature range will be 105 degree to 115 degree. Okay. So as this water content was greater than the liquid limit, the soil sample will shrink as its water content is reduced. Okay. So after 24 hours, when we take the shrinkage dish out from this oven, there will be the reduction in a volume of this soil sample. Okay. So it will be converted into dry pad with the reduced volume. Now we want to find out this mass of solids. So the difference between the mass of this shrinkage dish and shrinkage dish with this dry pad will give us mass of solids. Okay. So from this formula, we got M1, we got MS, we got V1. Then our last step is for the determination of this V2. Okay. So that is nothing but the determination of this volume of this dry pad. So as to determine this V2 or this volume of this dry pad, what we will do, we will take a small cup that will be filled with this mercury, and that cup will be kept in this dish. Okay. So which is having dimensions greater than as compared to cup. Then we will put dry pad on this cup. As the density of mercury is 13.6, the dry pad will not sink in this mercury. Okay. So as to sink or so as to press this dry pad in this mercury, we will be having a glass with prongs. Prongs are nothing but the metallic projections or metallic pins that are attached to the glass. Okay. So that prongs will be kept in a contact with this dry pad and glass will be above it. Okay. So when we press this glass, the sample will be dipped into this cup and mercury will fall out of this cup and it will be collected in a dish. Okay, that mass of this mercury will represent the volume of this dry pad. Okay, so what we will do, we will measure that mass of mercury. That measured mass of mercury by the density of mercury or the specific gravity of mercury will give us volume of this dry pad, that is nothing but the V2. Okay, so for this we will got all these parameters. Okay, M1 is known to us, V1 is also known to us, MS is also known to us, and V2 is also known to us. So after putting these values into this formula, we can easily find out the shrinkage limit of a soil. So this is the end of the lecture today. The numerical part which is related to this chapter, that is plasticity characteristic of a soil, we will see in the next lecture. Thank you so much.